I was elected as a democratic socialist, and I will govern as a democratic socialist. I will not abandon my principles for fear of being deemed radical.
So I said, like, Zohran's like the hangover of wokeism. Nancy is the hangover of TBS. She reminds me of the, like, I don't know, this might be too elitist, but if you at a co-op meeting or a condo meeting, she's one of the elderly tenants who comes in and just goes, the kids are making all this noise. She's at her wit's end. This is what an addiction to one idea gets you. I mean,
ever wonder what happens when a city runs into political chaos in slow motion? Well, New York has been getting a front row view, featuring none other than Zohran Mamdani. And just when you think the situation couldn't get any messier, Greg Gutfeld steps in with full energy to tell everyone exactly what's going on. It's like watching someone try to stop a forest fire with a garden hose, awkward, confusing, and a little funny if you're watching from a safe distance.
2009, Zohran Mamdani, or whatever, the Socialist Democrat nominee for New York City's mayor, identified as Black or African American when he applied to Columbia University. I guess there was no box for trust fund communist douchebag. But it didn't work. He didn't get in. He probably shouldn't have included a referral letter from this lady.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you might think. So, here's the thing about Mayor Donnie. He showed up with promises as tall as the skyscrapers he's meant to protect. Affordable housing, check. Safer streets, check. Fixing the subway, maybe in another universe. And now Gutfeld is cutting through that image like a chainsaw through paper, pointing out the space between big promises and real results. And honestly, that space is pretty big.
Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani has been elected to mayor of New York City. I never thought I'd be reminiscing about the good old days when Son of Sam was my dog walker. I haven't seen this many depressed New Yorkers since it got too chilly for me to wear bike shorts.
You see, Gutfeld isn't really known for being subtle. Subtlety is for people who still believe politics always stays polite. He goes straight to the point, calling out what he sees as the absurd situation of a city losing money, confidence, and even midtown taxis at the same time. It's like watching someone try to juggle flaming swords while blindfolded, except the swords are potholes and crime numbers, and the blindfold is political denial.
Zohran says he doesn't consider himself black at all. I guess it was that Justin Trudeau kind of black, where you just wipe it off at the end of the day. But it raises the often ignored question. How can you claim to be oppressed when you know the claim gets preferential treatment? I mean, why would anyone voluntarily choose an identity that supposedly holds you back unless you knew it could actually move you forward? So he saw the grift, using a false disadvantage to actually get ahead.
Now, Mamdani walks around talking about reform like it's some new kind of artisanal coffee. But while he's enjoying his rhetorical cappuccino, the streets are filling with stories of chaos that no latte foam can fix. Crime is rising. Buildings are struggling, both metaphorically and sometimes literally. And the subway schedule looks more like abstract art than reliable public transportation.
History mean? Is it an omen of a woke future or a ghost of a woke past? True, he really is the hangover from a decade of heinous ideas where repeat criminals are the victims, men can be women, and brain damage is considered a plus. But in this election, the votes cast were over 90% Democrat. That's one-party rule, a monopoly, which means it was a choice between bad and worse because there is no counterpoint to balance against extremism.
This is exactly where Gutfeld thrives. He's not just pointing out problems, he's calling out what he sees as a full performance of incompetence. Every joke lands like the punchline of a sitcom nobody planned to watch. And let's be honest, New Yorkers are tired. They've heard promises of change from political figures everywhere, from Times Square to Staten Island, yet somehow the results keep falling short. That's where Gutfeld steps in with the precision of a surgeon, except the tools are more like a chainsaw, a megaphone, and that familiar sarcastic eyebrow raise that somehow comes through the screen. He breaks down Mamdani's record like a classroom science project, pointing to the problems that keep piling up, from city frustrations to the constant battle with rats that seem to be winning, while Mamdani still insists everything is under control. Gutfeld's reaction is pure disbelief, the kind that makes you lean closer to the screen, wondering if reality is finally about to push back.
Mayor for New York City, Zohran Mamdani, has introduced his all-female transition team. At least we think they're female. True, since Zohran won, there have already been a few minor changes to the city. For example, the naked cowboy has already been replaced by the naked goat. And now every play on Broadway is over.
And the humor hits hard because it isn't abstract, it's about real life. It's difficult to argue with someone pointing at City Hall, listing failed plans, and asking how a place known for Broadway, bagels, and streaming giants could also struggle with this level of dysfunction. Gutfeld isn't inventing a story, he's telling it in his own sarcastic way, turning what could be a dry critique into something entertaining. Take the housing crisis, for example. Mayor Mamdani promised affordable housing, but the results still feel more hopeful than real. Buildings go up, but complaints rise with them. People live beside constant construction. Developers profit, and rents keep jumping like Olympic gymnasts. Subways stop without warning. Buses seem to play hide and seek. And the streets feel like a lesson in chaos theory. Mayor Mamdani keeps assuring people everything is under control, while Gutfeld uses his humor to point out the contradictions. Because if a city's infrastructure struggles and no one talks about it, does it make a sound? In this case, yes, and Gutfeld is laughing at the echo.
If the party feels differently about that, as Jessica says, then they really, really gotta talk louder about it. Because that's the problem. You guys didn't speak up. You grew this monster because you were too scared to discipline it as it expanded into every facet of our lives. Imagine if you had nipped wokeism in the bud rather than waiting for us to slay it with Trump. The Democratic Party are like parents of a criminal teen who raised him without any discipline or common sense, and then you released him into the wild, i.e. our world, and now we have to deal with it, and now you're going like, yep, I predict that when he gets the nomination,
Meanwhile, public perception is a complete mess. Mamdani supporters try to defend him with lines like, "We need to be patient. Change takes time," which sounds nice until you realize the city isn't just waiting, it is actively falling apart. Gutfeld makes sure everyone sees it, the delays, the mismanagement, and the unintended consequences. He doesn't sugarcoat or wink, he slams reality on the table with a mix of disbelief and amusement, turning frustration into pure comedy. And here's the best part, Gutfeld isn't just criticizing, he's exposing contradictions. Mamdani talks about equity and opportunity while policies quietly favor developers, and bureaucracy grows like a bad joke with no punchline. Gutfeld cuts through the rhetoric with surgical precision. New York is a melting pot, a city where chaos can become art, but under Mamdani, some of that art is starting to look like abstract despair, graffiti in the subway, rats in restaurants, potholes that could swallow small cars. Gutfeld doesn't just point it out, he amplifies it, giving viewers a front-row play-by-play of urban collapse wrapped in sarcasm so sharp you could slice a blade with it.
He was lying to get what he wanted, like when I used to tell women that I loved them. He wasn't confused, he was calculating. Mamdani knew that applying while black could be a ticket past the velvet rope of Ivy League admissions. And that was in 2009. Since then, identity politics has exploded into a full-blown access pass for corporations, schools, girls' locker.
The brilliance of this show lies in how Gutfeld keeps the momentum going. It's not just one sharp jab, it's a non-stop barrage. Every policy failure, every misstep, every overhyped promise stacks up like a house of cards destined to tumble. Just when you think it can't get more absurd, he he raises the stakes, connecting the dots so clearly that you can't help but see the full picture, a city in chaos and a politician caught in the whirlwind of his own ambition. The humor isn't just about numbers or policies. Gutfeld's observations are sharp, biting, and perfectly timed. He points out the little ironies: a councilman hosting a safety forum while crime rises, a mayoral promise vanishing faster than morning fog, or a politician unknowingly revealing his own tricks. And the audience can't stop laughing.
But it seems Zohran was handpicked. By who? Who knows? We know it wasn't for his resume. He didn't have one. He's a hard-left socialist with no managerial background, a disdain for capitalism and Jews. He's no different than a trust fund protester, except with a PR team and Soros's credit card. He's not even qualified to be my pool boy. Definitely not strong enough to lift me.
As this all plays out, the stakes feel ridiculously high. This isn't just some local disagreement, it's a glimpse into how city governance really works, turned up for entertainment. Gutfeld lets viewers watch incompetence meet wit, chaos meet clarity, and optimism collide with reality. Somehow, the laughter isn't just funny, it's revealing. When a city teeters on the edge, understanding the failures can be just as important as enjoying the humor. The patterns are clear: housing programs stumble, public safety promises fade, and infrastructure projects stall. Each failure adds to a bigger story of mismanagement that Gutfeld dissects with pinpoint accuracy. It's almost poetic, a commentator using sharp humor to unpack policy, showing that the funniest moments are often the most tragic because real people live, work, and pay taxes there. Yet from a distance, there's a strange satisfaction in watching a master of satire take apart what looks like a house of cards built on good intentions but poor execution.